You are now listening to the most electrified and vilified podcast on the net, Hot Topics Podcast. Let's get this party started.
Still not good for my mental health.
You're not good for mental health.
Whatever.
Welcome everyone to the Hot Topics Podcast. I'm your host, Psycho 4081, and I'm here with my two lovely co-hosts,
Lamb Chop.
Hello.
and the notorious Felonious Feather, who's in here today looking like she has a hangover, but we won't talk about that.
Why you gotta be putting
but I don't even
people
drink.
business out?
Hey,
Well, you know I didn't even drink.
I
so.
know you don't.
Exactly.
So today, we're going to talk about mental health, right? I pulled some stats up on mental health. Basically, it touches everybody's
Absolutely.
household.
Absolutely.
And so funny, I was talking. We have a guest our guest speaker today, Donna Marie. Say hi,
Donna.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I was quite honored to receive the invitation.
Oh,
So Donna, I follow Donna on TikTok.
okay.
So, she usually has something interesting to say. And I was listening to one of her videos and she was talking about dealing with mental health and stuff like that. I was like, oh, come on our podcast, talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, like I said, like I have personal issues in my family and,
Who doesn't?
And co-hosts. And, but I thought it was a good thing to talk about because everybody can relate to it. So, introduce yourself. Tell us about you. And I know I want you to mention your products as well. Yes.
So, again, my name is Donna Marie. Most people just call me DP or Donna, and Brian always Donna Marie. Born and raised in Washington, D.C., lived my adult, younger years in Baltimore, and then got married and migrated to the Eastern Shore of Maryland. Since I've been here, I've had the opportunity of doing some interesting things that I never thought that I would do in my life. But one of those things was having the opportunity to work at a dispensary because I am a medical cannabis patient due to chronic illnesses that I have to help manage my pain. So a part of me learning how to do that, for me, it wasn't just about, let me run to the dispensary, buy this weed or whatever, and just smoke it and be high. I had to find a way to manage my pain because there were days that I could not literally get out of the bed. And that plays a lot on your mental too, right? You have things that you have to do. You have people depending on you, and you're trying to work through this pain that you don't know if you want to laugh. You don't know if you want to cry. You don't know if you want to just strangle the heck out of somebody. Pain will take you places that you don't want to go. So I met a couple of great people who had been a long time in that industry. And the dispensary that I worked for initially, it was kind of like a mom and pop, a little small thing. So you had some doctors, some nurses, you had people who gave you the knowledge of what you need to do. So I would come home, I bought some cookbooks, because in my mind, if I can make butter, sugar, I'd be making all kinds of stuff, y'all. And I incorporate all of that into my everyday living. And then I learned about CBD.
Wait a minute.
So I
real quick. When did you learn to cook?
You know what? Let her finish telling her story.
Listen, in my 20s, I ain't have to cook. Somebody
That's
was
right.
taking me out or bringing food to the house. Had
That's
to test you
right.
out, see what you was about. Now, listen, but now that I'm 56, I got to cook. I ain't got nobody knocking at the door trying to take me out. At least not yet. So I started cooking, learned about, CBD, got some, I feel like the first cookbook that I bought, it was called Cooking with Marijuana. So I just really started doing a lot of research on how it can help your body, how it can help your mental. So that kind of turned into a little people, You know, I always have like test dummies. Hey, can you test this out? Can you try this out? And then I work for the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and I work for Extension. And so in Extension, we work a lot with the communities. We work with small farmers, people who have an interest in agriculture. So I had the opportunity to meet people who are researching cannabis and CBD. I work with an herbalist, and she has a whole garden on our small farm. So I learned how to make tinctures and salves and stuff for your hands, you know, anything to try to manage that pain.
That sounds nice.
Okay.
You know, I never thought that a city girl born and raised in Washington, D.C., tearing them streets up in Baltimore, living my life. Brian, I was cutting up, tearing them streets up, tearing them up. I would never in 1,000 years have thought that I would be where I am now with regards to how I have grown into a country girl.
Right.
The one thing about working for Extension, because we help farmers and people who want to, you know, have farms in urban areas or have them at schools, teaching kids that farm and table experience, it allowed me the opportunity to take the position that I am now and kind of carve it to make it my own, because I have a great guy that I work for. One day I was really struggling at work mentally. Like, I woke up, I was already feeling some type of way when I woke up. I don't know what the trigger was. I just knew that I just did not want to be bothered with people. Like, some days you just wake up and your own energy will tell you, like, yeah, we just don't feel like it today.
Yeah.
We don't feel like it today. So I went to work, and the one thing that I can say about Dr. Escobar, he is all about that mental health. He's like, listen, I'm not going to let nobody stress me out, you know, because I'm not going to be driven crazy because you want to act crazy. So I went to work, and I received this email that went out to the campus community saying, hey, if you would like to get 100-foot row for $20 to start your own garden for the season, you know, come down and see, you know, the person. So I was like, oh, yeah.
What, any kind of garden?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just, you know, they'll do the little row for you. You take your little seeds out, plants out, do what you need to do, but you have to tend to it. You have to do all of the work, but they'll provide you the space. So I'm thinking, like, I don't have a hobby. I don't know what I like to do. I can't even keep a house plant. So what make me think that I'll be able to grow a tomato, right? But I knew that day that I needed to do something for my the mental space that I was in. So I was willing to try. I knew if I had a seed, I had some dirt, I had some water, what can I do with that? And what I found is, over time, every time I went out there, because I'm so focused on what I'm doing, trying to learn to do something, that it took away the anxiety and all of the negative stuff that I was feeling. So what started out to kind of be therapeutic has now transitioned to me actually teaching, going to the Boys and Girls Club. We have a little garden over there. I reestablished their garden. I'm now taking a master gardening course. So it's just crazy how me trying to settle my mind, it kind of opened up another avenue for my career. So, like, hey, if we jump over to Africa, I'm gonna learn. I know how to grow potatoes.
Oh, okay.
I know that's right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I learned a skill from it. I didn't let it take me. There are some days that I just wake up and I'm in this rabbit hole. And you know, when you think about rabbits, when they dig a hole, they have tunnels, right? And there's some times, and you know, I always say that when I'm talking to you, I'm really talking to me. There are times that for whatever reason, my brain clicks over to this woe is me avenue and Doubt Street. I get into this hole, and it's like the more I try to get closer to the light, the further the light is. Right. So depending on what it is, and sometimes it's not even my stuff. It's the stuff that you take in around you.
Family, coworkers, friends.
Absolutely. Okay. Jobs, getting the grandkids to these practices that they have, you know. And when, you know, me and my husband, we separated. But the one thing that we didn't do was we have a relationship that's applicable because we have 10 grandkids.
Wow.
I am the only grandmother that they know. Like, just because we are not together does not mean that, one, we can't be friends, two, that they have to be, you know, oh, this all it is, just negative energy. Hey, you know, because the kids is like, well, we as grams, we as pop. So there are some things that we have to do together, you know. So that piece of that part, because you try to protect the kids, because you want them, especially the grandkids, you want them to be in a certain place and have some type of normalcy. Right. Because there are times, and I'm a child of that, and I think a lot of my mental stuff, and I know that you had, you know, some questions, but I'm sorry, a lot of my mental things are triggers from my childhood and how I was raised, right? So
I think that's everybody.
Right. And one of the things that's a real big trigger for me, and the one thing that haunts me all the time, is that sense of abandonment, right? I don't want any of my grandchildren or my stepchildren to feel that this person who has been in their life 20 years plus just disappeared, just didn't care, because what we went through is no reflection on my grandchildren, right? So it's a lot. So sometimes you deal with things that you don't necessarily have to deal with. And for me, I have always been a sensitive creature. So I kind of just take in a lot of stuff, and then when I go deep in, it's deep in.
So basically it's the legacy. So you can have, it's two types of legacy. You have that positive legacy, you have that negative legacy. And that was something important for you, not to, you know, carry a negative legacy to your grandchildren,
or have that generational curse of things that can go on in families that we don't talk about.
Yes. You know, it's funny that you said that, because I was talking to my girlfriend cousin yesterday, and we kind of talked about how in the Black community, and I feel like it might be this in white households too, because not everybody want to be putting your business in the street. Oh, I struggle mentally,
right?
But we have in the Black community, and listen, my grandmama and my daddy and my mama used to always say, well, go on in this house, stay in this house, just don't talk about things, right? And then as a child, back in those days, see, like, these kids, they got opinions. We ain't had no opinions.
Right.
You don't have no opinions. You don't offer nothing to the conversation, like point blank. We didn't have no say. We ain't had no opinions. We ain't had no thoughts. It was what it was. So if it was a situation, like, I made a couple of videos on being a child of a parent who was a drug addict, right? That was a secret. You know, nobody wants to talk about, oh, Tommy is a drug addict.
Right.
They'll talk about it in the family, and then they'll make the children, like, they made me and my sisters and my brothers feel like we were like had leprosy or something because of the things that my dad was doing, and nobody offered him any help. Right. You and then you want to keep it a secret, and then your kids grow up. I grew up once with this sense of abandonment, Now I can't talk to anybody because I don't know how to express what I'm feeling. So they come out in different behaviors, right? Tearing them streets up, in the clubs, the drinking. I never did hard drugs, but I always been the weed smoker even before I knew the benefits of it, right? You know? So, but especially the drinking part, like I don't drink now, right? There was an incident that happened in Baltimore at Odell, you know.
Odell's.
You know, I cut up so bad that one of my girlfriends, Angie, the next day called and was like, yeah, yo, you was out of pocket. You did too much. So I knew then, like, okay, I don't want to be what my parents were. So how do I change that? Now, that's not to say that I'm Miss Perfect or that I always get it right. But it wasn't until I was married and we separated and we went to I walked away because of my mental health.
Okay.
I could have stayed and just played the part. But there were some things, and then I noticed that I was taking those things out on my grandson, who at the time was living with us. Because I resented the situation, my anger was redirected to him. And that's the moment that I knew that I had to leave before something popped off.
And you know, and we're going to talk about that part about, you know, recognizing when you need help and some of the coping mechanisms we do. That's positive and negative. And I'm going to ask you specifically what you did to, you know, change that.
So I took myself to the local hospital here, right? Prior to that incident happening with my grandson, because I knew that I really needed the help. I was really struggling. And if I'm honest, and Brian, you know this, if I'm honest, I have always had some type of issues with mental health. So I have been hospitalized a couple of times. But those times was kind of like, girl, you got to go, because somebody else took the liberty to say, hey, I feel like she may be in a situation where she can hurt herself, right? That this time I recognized I was driving down the street out of Salisbury, going on 50, not going a particular place. I just knew that I was going somewhere. And in a moment, I felt like I could just take my car and just ram it into something.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I pulled over into, it was a little tattoo thingy. It was like a little shopping center. So I pulled over and I just tried to gather my thoughts. I went into the tattoo shop. I'm not even sure why, because it was like, oh, who does that? So I'm talking to the guy, and it was funny because sometimes the creator would put in your place and you don't understand why things are happening in the moment. Like, one, how did I end up in that shopping center? Two, how did I end up in that tattoo shop? Right. And three, as soon as I walked in, the man clearly recognized that something was wrong with me, and he was just kind. He just said a kind word. He just was like, here's some tissue. I don't know what's going on, but it's a safe place for you to, you know, get out whatever it is. So,
wow.
So you had visible displays.
Yes. It was visible. It was internally. Like, I literally that day, I had said that this is going to be the day that is going to be my last day. And I went in there and that man talked to me. I ended up that's how I ended up with this rose on my hand, because, you know, rose is harder to come through concrete. You know, it's a reminder of me, what happened to me that day, where I was, when I was thought about killing myself. And the crazy thing was, if I can run my car into somebody else's car. So the mere fact that I thought about killing myself that can harm somebody else. After I got this, I drove over to the hospital and I checked myself in.
Okay.
Good. Good.
I checked myself and I knew that I needed the help. I was a little, and it was my environment, right? When you really want help, if you go to the hospital and you get the help, they're gonna release you. You still got to figure out how you're gonna get it done.
Right.
How you what is it? And then you going back to what goes on in our house stays in our house. If you don't follow up and get the proper therapy, if you don't get the medication and you go back into the same environment and you know really what you need to do, but your brain will start telling you things that you know ain't true. You know it ain't true. So a situation popped off one morning and I woke up that morning and I said, yep, this is the day. Yeah. This is the day that I leave. This is the day that I find an apartment. This is the day that I figure out how I'm going to live the rest of my life. This is the day that I start to focus on me and my mental health, because the one thing that I realized, and this is true, it is a pleasure to be seen. I woke up today. I can look into your eyes. We can have this conversation. Ain't nobody crying for me, right? If I decide to take my life because I don't know how to cope with everyday life because life be lifing, then the people around me, they went. I'm gone, but you still live.
They're moving on.
Right.
So the list of the unhealthy coping mechanisms, I'm gonna throw some out there, and you tell me, did you experience any of these things? Right?
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't realize that they actually
these things
do
are unhealthy. Right.
Yeah.
So first one on the list is what you would think?
Alcohol and drug use.
Substance abuse. Yes. So.
Well, she already said. She already said that.
Yeah, because my father was a drug addict, I have never been prone to be attracted to drugs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to ever catch me with no cocaine. You ain't never, none of that.
Right.
None of that, because I saw firsthand what that did. It caused me to be homeless early in them streets. Job working since I've been 13 years old. So drugs will have your children in situations that they don't have no business being in. So that definitely was not.
So you was already conscious of that,
right?
Yeah, already.
But a lot of people aren't,
not.
and they turn to
so
that.
For the people who are not, where there's, you mentioned substance abuse, overeating, which I think,
that was me.
That was you.
That was me.
Isolation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Procrastination.
Yeah, I'm a procrastinator.
Yeah. I think I do that naturally.
I'm not a procrastinator. For me, working is my way of not thinking.
Okay, so you had that,
and that's very unhealthy.
Okay.
Right. So you feel like you're an overachiever, like you.
That was avoidance.
Okay.
It's avoidance.
Yeah.
Which is another one here.
Yeah.
Then, did you have any negative self-talk? Like, did you?
I think we all do that one.
Absolutely. And I feel like that negative self-talk talk was something that was ingrained in me from being a kid.
Okay.
Because sometimes adults just don't know what to say to kids.
Yes.
You might have a chunky kid, girl, you show this fat.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't eat no more ho-hos.
Yeah.
Your hair sure is nappy.
Yeah.
Because I know my people's are straight from the continent of Africa. Listen, because I had some 4C hair and love every bit of it. But you tell your kids, instead of embracing what they have, your nose is too wide, they too close together. So sometimes we are our children's first bullies. We are their first naysayers. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it rolls into the fabric of who you become.
Yes. Right.
So for a long time, I didn't think that I was pretty enough. I didn't think that I was good enough. I didn't think that I was any of those things. So I took shape to become what I thought other people wanted me to be, because I didn't know who I was. Now here I am in my 50s and I'm starting to figure it out, and being on getting the help and the medication and not being in that emotional state has allowed me to say, oh, wow, you didn't know that you like that about yourself.
Right.
Because see, now I wake up in the mirror every day and I talk to myself, like I sing myself a love song. I tell myself how much, listen, look at you today. Every wrinkle, every circle, every crinkle, every dimple and dump. Because if you don't tell yourself how much you love you, then when somebody tells me that they love me, how can I receive that?
Right. Okay. And unhealthy relationships is another one. So if you're used to all of that negative self-talk from families, it rolls into getting into a relationship with someone who is not probably the best for you.
Right. Or would you like seek out people who actually victimized you as well?
I think we do, but we don't know that we're seeking them out at the time. Right. You know, you don't know that you're seeking it out at the time.
Right. Or the flip side of that is you end up with someone who is just as broken.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. They don't realize or recognize that they have some mental things that they need to look at. Right. You know, because ultimately at the end of the day, you have to be willing. And it's very hard. It is not easy. Trust me, it's not. You have to be willing to look at yourself and accept the things that you don't particularly care about yourself, right? There was some traits that I kind of inherit from my mom. I didn't like those traits when she displayed them to me. So I'm very conscious of how I try to put things to people or, you know, how I interact. So you have to look at you, and then you have to take accountability for, because sometimes I could be a little overbearing and, you know, I have to take account because my mouth is slick. But when you start to peel back your layers and work on you and close out everything around you, then you're in a better mental place. So then you know how to deal with the things around you, and then you can't absorb everything, because when you're pouring into everybody, who's pouring into you?
Can't pour from an empty cup.
Ooh, that's right.
You're being philosophical.
Yeah, but it's the truth.
You know what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Let me ask you something. Did you get any compulsive behaviors?
Yes.
Gambling? Anything like
mine was like eating.
Eating, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I had weight, and this is when I knew that my depression was real. And this is what really made me recently get back on my medication. I had weight loss surgery, and you can only eat but so much, right? And I would find that if I had a very hard day, or if something pop off and I couldn't do, I was already an emotional eater prior to the surgery. So let's say that, you know, ate when I was happy, ate when I was sad, ate when I was mad, and then used to eat to the point that I was so full that I would have to bring it up.
Oh, wow.
To find beef. And then I would turn around and do it again, right? So then it was, I come to the Eastern Shore, you know, I don't have any family. My marriage ain't working out. I don't love myself. I can't receive love from anybody because I'm feeling like, where is the love? And it's not really a good love, you know.
And are you worthy of the love?
Yeah, exactly. So I look up one day, and now I am 253 pounds. I feel like it was 253. And the more I said I wanted to lose the weight, the more I was eating in the dark, in the house, isolated by myself, no nothing, no boyfriend, not a prospect of a boyfriend, just punishing myself for whatever it was that I felt like I needed to punish myself for. So even when, fast forward with the surgery, that behavior did not stop. So I had to ask myself, are you trying to kill yourself? Yeah, so that compulsion, like food was my thing. So I guess that is a drug, right? Yeah. Food was my drug.
Yeah, it can be.
One of the other things that people do in that situation is, now in this day and age, excessive screen time.
Oh, I guess
On
I really
social
haven't
media,
thought about that.
right?
Yeah,
Because
because
video
you get
games,
or you get likes, like
Yeah.
a lot of
or you can escape from reality,
right.
And I think even for myself, that's one of the things I enjoy about the video games and the social media. I can start trouble and,
Oh my
and get people the
God.
same trouble that I might be thinking of, and and they say also binge watching TV shows is another mechanism that we do.
That you do.
You say me?
I gotta tell you, that's one of my down times, though.
The binge watching?
Yeah. Well, stress reliever, I should say,
Okay.
because I don't mind doing that.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about present time and what are your personal strategies to keep you on the road? Because I know it's a process. It's not something that okay, yeah, I'm better.
I'm done.
It's a process. Yeah, you have to keep going and you have to keep practicing a certain amount of things. So what are your personal strategies to keep you in a healthier place, a healthier state of mind?
I wish I had a good answer, but here it is. Okay, so I work like 10, 50, 11 jobs, right? And that in itself is very, overwhelming. But the one thing that I try to do every day is do not turn on any electronics when I first wake up. That's the one practice that I do. I want to wake up in silence, because when you come out of your sleep and the first thing you do is go to social media, or the first thing you do is turn on the news, right? You are really pretty much setting up how your day gonna be. If you looking at the news and it's all doom and gloom and it's raining outside, your spirit feels some kind of way, right? So I don't tap into any electronics when I first open my eyes. I lay there. I if you want to call it meditating. I talk to the Creator. I talk to myself. How you feeling, girl? How you feeling? Number one, how you feeling? What kind of day are we gonna have?
Disconnecting from the electronics too is one of the more difficult things for people, because now we're in an electronic age. Most people get their news from social media.
Yeah.
Right? They communicate with their family and friends from social media. Everything's on the phone.
Right.
So, and do you own a smartphone?
Oh, I do. I have, Apple, I'm talking to you on my iPad right now. I got all these little smart devices, got the little Echo thingy.
Right.
I have all of that. But I intentionally, first, I created my space, right?
Meaning?
My home
Okay.
is my place of refuge. So I don't have any, like, if I did a whole little Pam review, you would like, oh girl, you in a crayon box. Even you can see it behind me. Because I suffer with anxiety and depression, dark colors tend to make me very sad. Right?
Something to think about.
So my home, when you walk in, is so colorful that it makes you feel good. So when I wake up in the morning and I come in the living room and I see all of these colors, I'm automatically happy. Right? So I lay in the bed, I thank God that He woke me up, that I can be seen and see other people. I'm grateful for the hands and the legs and the feet, everything that I have to do, because I know I'm getting ready to get up and work these 10, 11 jobs, and I'm going to be tired. But I say to myself, what kind of day are you going to have? Because for real, yesterday gone, we can't get it back.
Yep.
I don't know what tomorrow holds, because it's not here yet. All I have is right here and right now. And what am I going to do with this day? So I had to say, okay, so the overeating thing, no, you're not going to do that. We're going to pack what we're going to take. Right. I decided to get on the medication, and the medication has really, really been helping me. So I just put that quiet time. I take walks. I work in the garden. So these are things to kind of to help me. But I would say that you have to carve out a little piece of time for you, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you have to allow your brain just have some silence, because if you wanting the people to sleep with the TV on at night, whether you recognize it or not, you're still listening. You're still paying attention.
And it's seeping into your brain. I don't care what anybody says.
And spilling into your dreams.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna tell you. She mentioned I used to sleep with the TV on, right? And then I realized whatever show was on the television, it would seep into my dreams, and then I would have these horrible dreams with all these different mixtures of TV shows.
Yeah, I hope you stop doing that.
The vampire movies went out the window.
Yeah, I mean, so, sometimes you just have to, really legitly, just find a, quiet time for you. It helped, you talk to yourself. On my mirror, I got a whole bunch of sticky notes and, written in lipstick, certain, affirmations. I tell myself every day that I love me. If nobody else loves me, I love me. And all of those things that I feel like are imperfect, they are perfect because that's the way God allowed me to be. So be thankful for those. So I try to set the tone before I leave the house. And I ain't gonna lie, y'all. People, when trying to find peace is very hard. Lord knows. It is hard. Because you can say, today I ain't gonna curse, because y'all know I'm a cusser.
Hey, welcome to the club.
I am a cusser. I feel like I must have been a sailor in my last lifetime. Fall out my mouth. I would lay you. Listen.
We should have had her down at the park.
Yes.
Hey, look, we had a curse jar down at the park. That curse jar funded our happy hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I funded y'all happy hours.
You had all my money, but listen, I'll say, I'm gonna have this kind of day, and then I'll get to work, and somebody will send me a ridiculous email, not even a hello.
Right.
Somebody will call me just not even a hey girl, how you doing? So a lot of times, our mental is shaped on what we allow other people to pour into our vessels. So I'm to the point and stage that I say, no, I'm not, nothing can get into my vessel. I try to stay in my head. I have a white light around me. So I'm not letting that nonsense come into my light. So, I really feel like you have to kind of set your day, and if that's nothing more than listen to some classical music or
helps me.
You have to set your own boundaries.
So from what I'm hearing from you, this is one of the things that came out of this that was glaring: the work-life balance. How
I don't have that mastered. I really don't.
Do you have at least you recognize that has to be tackled?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So
I do.
Do you know of any strategies, or how would you find some
She
strategies?
had 50-11 jobs. She working on it.
Strategy. Hit the lottery.
Listen, the first strategy, try to find me a partner to help with some of these bills, so I don't have to work 50-11 jobs.
Right. And a lot of times the economy is not allowing us to not work this much.
That's
true.
It gives me no pleasure to have to get up every day again at 56 and literally work 4 jobs. Like, just thinking about it,
that's giving me anxiety. Listening to you say that,
just thinking about it. It leaves very little time for me to have a real social life. If I'm not working, then I'm trying to finish up this degree. And I feel a lot of that goes back to what you said earlier, Brian, about avoidance. I know
I'm a king of that.
I know that I don't have anybody at home, so why not work 50-11 jobs? I need the money,
right?
But I'm coming home essentially to an empty house, and it depends on how you look at it. That could be depressing in itself, but I look at it like, hey, I'm getting ready to go to my haven where people are stressing me out all day, and but I had to get to that point. I wasn't always there. It was always like a love song, like when I turn the key, please be there. You know what I mean?
But that's a setup that we get from our families too, because a lot of times your families and your girlfriends say you gotta have somebody there.
Right.
You have to. You're not complete unless there's a mate.
Right.
And that's not always true. That's not. You can be a complete and whole woman without a mate, and then somebody can come, or man. I know you giving me the side eye.
No,
you can be complete and whole without this person, and then they just bring the dessert.
Yeah, your mate doesn't always have to be.
Right.
You don't have to have a man. They have the rose. Some other things.
So anyway, I'm just gonna skip right on past that nonsense. Yeah, I'm going to skip on past that, and maybe time for a short commercial break, and then we'll be back. And I want to talk a little bit about medication and the stigma of that when we come back.
Okay. Okay,
so, you did mention that you went back and got on your medication. And I know for the African-American population, because that's the only population I can speak for. I can't speak for all the populations. Be quiet, Psycho. Psycho thinks I'm Latino and Asian, but that's a whole nother story for another day.
She escaped from Thailand.
We are so opposed to going somewhere and getting help with psychiatric medication.
Yes.
And treatment, really.
Mm-hmm.
We are so opposed to those things. How, like you said, you finally made that decision. Do you talk about that with other people? And did you let them know that, hey, this is like taking medication for your high blood pressure and for your diabetes. This is a medical thing that you may need medication for.
But, I think a lot of times it's the stigma.
Yes. I agree. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to, first of all, go there and say, well, hey, I need this medication.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to even accept that or acknowledge it, that I need this. And speaking on men,
right.
Men are the worst.
Yeah.
Because, we think that we can tough everything out. We can handle this, because I'm a man, and, I'm a real man that has to, just go in there and do some push-ups.
That's going to fix everything.
That'll do it. But what was your question?
Well, the question for her was, how did you come to that realization? Well, you did mention how you came to the realization that you needed the medication, but did you talk about it with other people? And how is that as far as the stigma goes? Because there is that stigma. And I think that we need to get to the point that we look at it just like we look at other medications that we need to take.
Right. So, for me, journaling, my brain moves so fast that if I try to write it, I'm not capturing it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing like a video diary.
Okay.
So that's kind of how Brian saw that video when I was talking about deciding to go back on the medication. Now, what happened is that there are a lot of resources that you can go out there. You got a phone right at your fingertips. You could, put suicide prevention, and I have some numbers, but you could definitely reach out to people. But I work 11 jobs, which means I have insurance, right?
Right.
So I had to have a whole talk with myself. I went to my primary care doctor, and I was just kind of going over some things like, these are the feelings that I'm having. This is what I'm going through. Some of it could be the change of life, but how much is it really of that? How much is it really my mental? I can't cope. I'm waking up crying. You say hello, I'm crying. You say goodnight, I'm crying. I'm in this space. And I know a lot of that had to do with all of the jobs and the sleep deprivation that I had. You can't live on 2 or 3 hours of sleep and not think that won't have you feeling crazy, because your body literally will start going through changes, shaking, and you feel all of this craziness on the inside, and your brain is just so. That piece was a medical piece within itself. Like, you got to treat me because I get some sleep. So I use the insurance that I pay for, and I talked to my healthcare providers, and they were great because they kind of came up with a team. My doctor said, now Now, okay, so this is crazy. When I went to her, probably this time last year, feeling very overwhelmed, she said, here, take this number and call this number. I said, okay. Going back to that stigma of, I don't want nobody to think that I'm crazy. I don't want nobody seeing me going up in there. Oh, I'm a call. I called, couldn't get through, or they didn't call back, but I didn't pursue it. Fast forward, here I am now, going back into her office with the same thing. But this time she was like, oh yeah, I got something for you. Her office called the people.
She said, you ain't gonna sneak out on this one.
Right. She was like, yeah, no, because I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this and I'm sick of you. So her people reached out to a psychiatrist, right? And we made the appointment and I went in. The first time, I'm kind of like, you know, I ain't feeling her. I really don't want to do this, because it was more like an intake thing. And, you know, they ask you a lot of questions, and some of those questions are very, very uncomfortable. And I didn't feel comfortable. I felt agitated. Like, why are you asking me this? But then I had to say, you're here for a reason. Answer the daggone question. Right. Like, she's trying to help you figure out why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. So somewhere along the conversation, she said, had you ever been on medication before for depression and anxiety? And I was like, yes. Back in the 80s, you know, 90s, I was on it for a while, but then I thought that I could manage it, you know, whatever. So she was like, are you opposed? No, I'm not. Okay, so because it was the first time, it was a little write-up, whatever. I'm going to see you back in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, on the back end, I have Nurse Natalie setting up the appointment for the therapist. So I'm working with a psychiatrist and I'm working with a therapist.
So,
right?
Wait a minute. So the therapist and the psychiatrist, I know the psychiatrist is the one who actually deals with the drug part. Right. They're the ones that can prescribe the drugs. Yes. So, and you're dealing with both of them in as far as the talking, the conversation piece and all that type of stuff. Was there a difference?
No, there's not.
There's no
it's
difference.
Really not. It's really not. You know, you have to find the right therapist that's for you. They got to click with you. If you feel like, because I've had some that I just felt like, yeah, no, I'm not, you know, gelling with that person.
Right.
But these individuals, I can honestly say, have been great. So you just have to find that click. But I would say definitely, if you know you need more than just talking to a therapist, then you should get the psychiatrist.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. And once you tell the therapist that, they should be like, okay, your next step should be this.
Okay.
Like they should know what the next step should be for you if you feel like that's not enough.
Well, not really. That's not kind of how it worked in my case. Because I feel like when it comes to mental health, next steps, what steps may work for her may not work for me.
That's true.
So the psychiatrist, she asked the question, would you like to be on medication? And then we're going to find the right one that's going to work for you, right? The therapist is more like, okay, what is it that you need? What are you trying to accomplish? You know, they ask you those kind of questions. And then when you go in and you have your session, whatever it is that you're talking about, I've been fortunate enough that I have people who ask questions to help peel back layers and not give me, you need a self-help book, you need to do this, you need to do that, right? So if you get a good therapist, they are actually talking to you, not trying to steer you one way or another,
right?
But they're taking bits and pieces from what you're saying and putting it back on you in a question form to make you think
that you can correct
it.
Right.
How can I manage this, or how can I deal with this? Or was moving the green cup so serious to the other side of the room? Did you really have to have a know that? Like, was it like, for real, was that serious? Right. When your mom called and said, hey, come up for my birthday, and because you were tired, it was you, it wasn't the question, can you come for my birthday? But because I was tired and I was like, oh, nobody don't think about my time. Everybody know I work 50, 11 jobs and, oh, I got to be on the street. Like, Donna, that's a you problem. That ain't a her problem. That's a you problem. So the therapist will just kind of take back what you say and kind of hold up a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will give you tools at the end of the session, which is more like homework.
Okay.
You know, I want you to ask yourself this, or they have a I feel, right? But the I feel, but remove the but.
So basically, do your self-correction.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Without excuses, because we can always find excuses to do stuff. Yeah.
So the medication for me, I knew I needed it. I knew that I could not work this thing out on my own with meditation, walking, running, gardening. I needed to be able to be in the space of thinking without being so emotional. Because when you're living life and you're making decisions in an emotional state, you can wreck your life because sometimes you're not making the best decisions because it's out of emotion.
Right.
Now, were you familiar with the medication already, or was it something totally new?
Well, back in the day, I used to take Zoloft, and it worked for me. So when we talked about the different things that I was on, she was like, "Okay, let's go back and try that at the lowest dose."
Okay.
Right. And see how that works. And then I ended up with anxiety medication, but it is really a medication that treats allergies, but they also use it to treat anxiety and sleep deprivation.
Okay.
So, you know, I take that at night. So when I take both of the pills in the evening, because I learned early on the first week that I started taking it, I was taking it in the day, and it kind of had me like very sleepy, kind of out of it, and I didn't like feeling like that.
Right.
Okay.
So Nurse Natalie was like, flip it, take it in the evenings because it would help give you the sleep that you need anyway.
Right.
So now I don't sleep. I still sleep the same 4 hours. I don't get a lot of sleep. But the difference is the medication drops me straight into that deep sleep.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you feel rested.
And the turn in, and my brain is not going. When I wake up, I actually feel refreshed because I wasn't worried about nothing. I just straight went to sleep, lights out.
Gotcha.
One of the things, though, that I think people need to know is in regards to medication, just because you get prescribed the medication does not mean that, you know, it's the right dosage or the right type for you.
Right.
So people are hesitant to you know, get or take the medication that they're prescribed because it didn't make them feel good, make them feel heavy, or made them feel a certain way. So they just avoid medication altogether. So important thing is to talk with your psychiatrist or your doctor to say, hey, this is not working for me.
Let's try something.
Try something else.
Right. Well, the thing about the young lady that I see is that she already knew, like, okay, you may feel these things, right? But if this doesn't work, or, okay, for example, when I go see her on Monday, I have an appointment with her on Monday. One of the things that we're going to talk about is one of the side effects to the medication.
Okay.
Now, I have, because it kind of strips away the emotional part, I'm always thinking, right? If something pops off or is a trigger and I can't emotionally be in it the way I need to, I feel this anger and this rage. Like 2 days, it was so bad. I felt like I could literally choke somebody. And I was like, where's this anger coming from? Like, why am I so upset? And then I'm thinking, is it the medication? Because, you know, when you go back and you read all of that stuff, it'll tell you could cause, you know, thoughts of suicide, thoughts of this, thoughts of that, you know, it'll tell you all of that. So I had to go back and look like, well, am I feeling something? But what I realized in that moment was I felt that way because I was triggered. And because I was triggered, I didn't deal with it. I internalized it. So now I just feel like I need to go in the middle of the field and just scream.
Mm-hmm.
So that would give me a sort of fear too, because I don't want to get to a point where I know I wouldn't want to feel like where I'm emotionally cut off, where if something was to happen, I'm not going to react in a certain way that I
have the
need
appropriate
to.
response.
Yes.
You feel like, okay.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, he got a
And
gun. Oh, that's a nice gun there. That type of deal,
But that's where it goes back to, because like I said, we're working to find the right balance.
Right.
You know what I mean? And which was the reason why she started off at a lower dose. And I'll talk to her about the lack of emotion. But you know what? To be honest, for me right now, where I am in my life, I need that lack of emotion, because I'm already, like I said earlier, and my peoples will tell you, I'm very dramatical,
Are you emotional about everything?
But everything, I feel like my mom, I feel like that when I was in the womb, so if I'm really honest, the depression doesn't just start with me. My mother has always dealt with depression.
Okay.
And she's always, had some providers to help her with that. So that's kind of something that runs, in my family. I feel like that when I was in my mama's womb, that she may have been a very emotional creature, because like I said, I've always been sensitive. I remember my mom, you could just look at me for no reason and I would bust out crying. Like, I was always a sensitive kid, and I grew up being a sensitive adult. So I'm emotional, and sometimes, like my sister told me the other day, people can't receive what you're trying to say to them if you're always coming from an emotional place, right? Because then those emotions turn into finger pointing. You're really not necessarily expressing what's going on, but you're so emotional because you made me mad. Now I'm bringing up everything in the closet, not really dealing with what I really need to deal with. So right now, this being a little bit detached from those emotions is allowing me to move differently and to make better decisions about my life and where I want to be.
Got it.
Because sometimes we stay where we're familiar at, and we stay where the pain is at, because do you really want to help? You can only help those who want to help themselves, right? So I have to want to help me first. And like, I have a grandson who takes medication, and I'm very honest with him about me taking medication, because he's 6 going on 7. And he feels some kind of way about taking his medication. He had an incident where one of his brothers or cousins called him crazy. That took him somewhere, right? He was very hurt and upset and very angry that they called him crazy.
And how old is he? What's the age range?
6.
He's little.
Yeah, 6 and 7. Yeah, Kaysen has ADHD. He was a kid that really, like in the beginning, we were all like, oh yeah, we don't know if we want him on medication, but listen, that has been heaven sent for him, because now he can focus in school. He is having such an amazing year. The teachers and administrators who also help to work to build that team around him, so everything worked out with him. So when I pick him up in the evenings, my phone go off every night at 8:00, and that's my alarm telling me to take my medication, right? Because I don't want to forget a dose. I want to make sure that I have it in my body. I want to do it the right way. So when he hears the alarm, oh, what's that? Oh, it's time for me to take my medicine. So then, Grams, does your medicine make you be good? Well, it does. Do you feel angry sometimes? I do. So it allows him to understand that it's okay to feel things, and that boys can cry, and that you have to work things out, but it's also okay to take medication to help you balance that out. And so now that he sees that Graham takes medications, he's more, comfortable with his situation.
Right.
Okay. So I have some more questions, but I want you to come back again.
Yes, we have so many questions.
Sure.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk more about your your pharmaceuticals. When I say
Okay.
pharmaceutical, FARM, your pharmaceuticals. I definitely wanted to get into that.
Yes.
And we want to talk about some whole bunch of different like
yeah,
skills
I want to
and
talk
stuff
about
like that.
self-care and some
Self-care.
mindfulness and all
Okay.
of those
Right.
things. Yeah.
Okay.
But we need a word of the day.
Oh, what would our word of
You know,
the
we
day
do a
should
word
be?
of the day. So when we have our listeners at the end of the month, if they get all the word of the days from our podcast, they actually can win a prize.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that.
Nice.
So can Donna?
Oh, yeah. Would
Yeah.
you like to give us a word of the day?
The word of the day. Okay. Let's see. What would a good word of the day be?
Rose.
Give me a second.
How
All
about
right,
emotions?
So my word of the day, honestly,
Popped in my head.
is going to be love.
Love.
Oh,
Okay.
I like that.
Love,
I like
okay.
It's going to
that.
be love. Love yourself
Yes,
first.
I
It
like
is
that.
okay to love yourself. It is okay to be in love with yourself. It's okay to be in love with the person that you want to become, right? It starts with you. Start with you by loving yourself. Once you love yourself, you'll be open to receive love, and loving yourself will allow you to do something kind. Do something kind for somebody. So when you take your focus off of you, your focus is on them, and that is that's an expression of love. So that's going to be the word of the day.
Okay.
Love.
Yay. I like
Okay.
that. And
So-
I want to just say love yourself through the process too. Because,
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, because it's going to be happy, it's going to be sad, it's going to be ugly, it's going to be pretty. You have to love yourself through the whole process.
Amen. Amen.
And I would like to thank you for coming out
Thank
of your
you.
super
Thank you for having
duper
me.
busy, crazy
Yes,
schedule
yes.
to talk to us. And we have to do it, a follow up. For all the listeners out there, you can check us out on multiple platforms. You can go to www.hottopics, that's TOPIX, hottopicspodcast.com. If you go to the website, you'll see at the bottom all the different ones you can click on if you prefer Spotify or, which I do. I like iHeartRadio and stuff like that. You can find us there. And, as always, subscribe and, share if you found it valuable. Share with family, friends, neighbors, and stuff like that. So, again, thank you all for tuning in.
Vote.
Oh, yes, vote.
That's very important.
Thank you, family, for listening to the latest episode of Hot Topics. As usual, listen, like, share, subscribe. Ta.
This is what I do.